Before moving to Linux, I did some music production and I wanted to get back into it. But most of the tools that I used in the past were proprietary and not available on the platform. So I asked Unfa for help. He's a professional sound designer and music producer for games. I'm focusing on Linux, although all the tools you're going to see here are compatible with Mac and Windows. Here's the list in short. My DAW of choice, digital audio workstation, is Ardour. A program I use for music notation is Musescore. There are three synthesizers with which I really enjoy working: Surge, Zyn Sub Effects, and Helm as well. Finally, we're going to talk about the virtual Orchestra, a collection of sound fonts with acoustic instruments, so you can make orchestras, but they can be also really useful for game music. We're going to go through each of them one by one so you can learn a bit more about how they work and what they do. And then I'll give you some great tutorials from Unfa you can follow to get started today. And with that, let's move on to the computer. The digital audio workstation I chose to work with is Ardour. It's a host for virtual instruments and effects in which you can record, edit non-destructively, apply effects like reverberation, stuttering, whatever. You can equalize your tracks, do everything you need to take your music from zero to production, like release level. Ardour has many advanced features. You can tell it got a lot of polish and that it's been created in collaboration with professional sound designers and artists. It has a bit of a Pro Tools vibe. It seems pretty great for audio manipulation, non-destructive recording, mixing, mastering, and when it comes to MIDI editing, it does the job. There are some rough angles, but the developers are aware of it, and it's part of their focus for the next major release. I would say it's a solid option to create sound effects and music for games. People would probably want me to mention LMMS. I didn't enjoy working with it too much. I'm much more interested in ZRythm, a young project that's quite promising. It has a focus on MIDI editing and producing music entirely on the computer with virtual instrument. It's intended to be easier to use than Ardour and maybe more modern than LMMS, I'd say. But at the time of recording, it's still in alpha, so it will be a little while probably before it's production ready. Musescore is a professional music notation program. It's really easy to use, and I would say it's quite powerful. You can really achieve a lot with it. The idea is that you use music notation in there. You can then reuse the sheets to play on the piano, on a keyboard, or you can pass it to professional musicians who could do that for you. You can also export your score to MIDI to then use it in a digital audio workstation like Ardour. If you know music notation and you have some music theory, it can be quite comfortable to write and think in that language, the relationship of the notes, etc. Also, the input in Musescore is really good whether you have a MIDI keyboard or you are using just your computer's keyboard. I found it more convenient than writing MIDI directly in Ardour. Onto the synthesizers now. You have Helm, that's, I guess, a subtractive synthesizer. The webpage and the manual don't mention it explicitly, but I guess that's how it works. So you have one main oscillator that can be modulated by a second one. It modulates its phase with some simple waveforms like a saw, a pulse. Then you have all its modules in a single interface, a really nicely designed window with very nice interactive controls everywhere. So don't hesitate to click on the graphs and all. It works really well. And you have some effects built in, so you can stutter the sound. You have an arpeggiator built in, some simple distortion, delay, and reverb for the effects. You have the ability to modulate controls by another as well. It gives you quite a lot of expressivity and control in the sounds that you can produce. I recommend you to check out the many presets with which it ships to get a sense for what you can achieve with it. Next up is Zyn-Fusion. It's a really complete and pretty advanced synthesizer with which you can probably achieve a lot. You have 3 synthesis engines, additive, subtractive, and one they call pad. You can have lots of voices, oscillators, modulations. You have lots of controls. You have an effects rack. I couldn't possibly describe all you can do with it. The only weak point of that tool is it doesn't have a complete documentation or manual. The best way you can get started with it is go to Unfa's channel and look at how he creates patches from scratch. It gives you an intuitive understanding of some of the things that you can do with that really powerful tool. Surge is another impressive free software project. They say subtractive hybrid synthesizer. You have two scenes which you can use to create two sounds that you can layer together. And you have quite a lot of controls. You can bring in all kinds of wavetables. This is the one I worked with the least so far, but it seems to be really complete. The virtual playing Orchestra, our last tool here, is a collection of free and open source sound fonts for orchestral instruments. Sound fonts are files that define how to play back samples recorded from real musicians and real instruments, allowing you to trigger the notes with a MIDI keyboard or with MIDI on the computer. This project gives you access to a lot of instruments for free. I would say that the quality is not on par with the commercial options out there that are generally quite expensive as well. You're looking at a few $100s for a small set of instruments, but it's pretty good for game music, anything that doesn't need to be super realistic. So hip hop or electronic music in general will work pretty well. Now, the next place to learn about all that is Unfa's channel. He made some great tutorials to get you started and to teach you how to install new instruments and effect plugins, like the ones I showed you here. I recommend starting with these videos. You can find links in the description below. So you have one to get started with Ardour. You have the one to install tools from KX Studios on Linux, and creating a complete track with Zyn-Fusion, which I used to make my first music with Ardour. Tobias, Unfa, is a lovely guy. I warmly recommend his content. We did a short interview to wrap up this video so you can get to know him and why you should care about free software. The floor's yours, Tobias.
Hi, I'm Unfa. I make electronic music and sound design using open source software. At my home studio, I work on Linux, but my day job is sound design for a video game company. And there I work on Windows. I try to use the same software on both sides. And I also make videos about making music and sound design with free and open source software. You've got loads of music production related channels or focused on audio, but none of them really care if the software respects your freedom. Initially, I got into this because I had no money, but then I realized there's other things, very important things about free and open source software. It's freedom, it's security, you're never going to be locked in. You can fix things yourself, or you can take them and give them to a programmer and they will fix it. If you want to learn how to make music and sound design, sound effects using software that respects your privacy and your freedom, if you want to maybe learn Linux and try it out for that, and if you want to hop on the live streams I make every month and hear your music played live and see me comment on it, check out my channel.